All right, what is up, everyone, and welcome back to Together Achieving Greatness. I'm your host, Trevor Gutting, here to give you the in-depth scoop and talk a little bit about today's topic. But before we jump into that, make sure you are subscribed to my page. If you are enjoying the videos, give me a like, help me spread the message, help me get my word out, and help as many people as possible, because ultimately that is the goal with Tag Performance and Nutrition and the Together Achieving Greatness show, is to help people achieve the best health they can, the best version, help them build the best version of themselves. Being an athlete for life, that is what I want to help people do through training, through nutrition, through sleep, stress management, building a better mindset, all these aspects, all these puzzle pieces that you have to fit together to find really what works best for you. But I want to jump into today's episode and talk about, a lot of times I get questions from clients and people, they know they need to train and lift, and the basis of your training should be built around resistance training. But what do you do on those days that you're not lifting weights? There's a lot of things out there, a lot of different examples, and today I'm going to jump in and break down what you should be doing on these non-lifting days, or your off days, so to speak. A lot of times it could be lower intensity days. There's a lot of different verbiage that people use when describing these days, but let's just say the days that you are not lifting weights. So my whole philosophy on training is training like an athlete. So I say train 3 to 5 days a week, and when I say that, I mean lifting. And a lot of times, not all those days are going to be high intensity. There's going to be lower intensity. So let's say we're breaking it down into a 4-day lifting, an upper, lower, upper split, whatever you want to call it. The lower body days are going to be more higher intensity than the upper body days. I consider upper body days more low intensity, just because and when I'm saying low and high, that's talking about your neurological system. So it's, the lower body is a lot more demanding because you're using usually like a thing of a squat or a deadlift. Those RDL, those heavier types of movements, you're getting a lot more neurologically demanding than just like a bench press or whatever. And with my training like an athlete, things you're going to do on these training days or your lifting days are, this is when you're going to be doing your sprints. You're going to do your sprints first, your speed work first in the day, if that's part of your program. Sprinting, you're going to do jumps, throws, any agility work on these days, those types of things. And then get to your power work, maybe lifting dynamic effort if it's that day, or lifting weights, light weights faster, or then you get into your strength work, and then your accessory work, working on adding the muscle that way. So that's what's going to be. And when I say a training day, that's mainly your training days, and we can go higher or lower. Whereas days that you're sprinting, those are going to be high intensity days, because sprinting is the most demanding thing you can do as far as affecting your neurological system. It's going to take the most toll. That's why you need rest in between if you are trying to get faster with sprinting. So when I say training days, now let's say, because technically I train every day, and again, it's not lifting, but these lifting or these harder days, you're going to be sprinting. So for example, I'm going to use the lower upper split because that's what I use most of the time. 4 days a week I'm doing that. So you got one day of, let's say our first day of the week is a heavy strength day or a heavy lower body day mixed with acceleration. So combining two like activities. So acceleration, think longer ground contacts, creating force into the ground, with acceleration sprints, so shorter sprints, working on that start, getting and going, driving back. You're more at that angle. And again, I don't want to get too much into the training aspect because we're talking about the off days, but this is what that day would look like. So heavy lower body day mixed with acceleration. So you got your sprints, jumps, then your strength training, then a cool down after that, and then a warm up, of course, at the beginning. So the next day, Typically, depending on how you're doing it, how you split up, what your week's like. Upper body day, which would be some sort of a warm up again. Med ball throws. Sometimes I might include agility work, lower level agility work on those days too. And strength upper body work, and then typically a dynamic effort day would be the third lifting day. Dynamic lower body. So this is where your max velocity sprints come in, where you're working on that top speed. This is where more vertical jumping comes in, and then speed training with power work with, for example, speed belt squat. That's what I'm doing right now, and then a speed trap bar deadlift or something like that. Could be more jump variations too. All these different things, and then accessories lifting, and then our fourth day of lifting would be another dynamic upper body day. So again, throws, and then lifting. So that's kind of how the 4 lifting days would break down in an upper lower split, typically. And then you get into those days off. So like, let's say one of my favorite variations is a lower body. Monday, Tuesday, an upper body. Wednesday, one of your off days from lifting. Thursday, lower body. Friday, upper body again. You could flip those around, so you could go Monday, upper body. Tuesday, lower body. Wednesday off. Thursday, upper body. Friday, lower body. Whatever it works for you. And then Saturday, Sunday, again, off, depending on your schedule. You could do, a lot of times I've done lower body Monday, upper body Wednesday, lower body Friday, upper body Saturday. And you can break these down, these 4 days, depending on your schedule, what your lifestyle is like. Again, there's no set in stone. Find what works best for you. If you need help with that, reach out. But I want to talk more about those days off. A lot of times, if you're lifting 3 days a week, you're going to have 4 days off. If you're lifting 4, you're going to have 3, obviously, 7 days in a week. But talking about what we can do on those days off. And a lot of times you don't need to be going balls to the wall all the time. Like I say, manage that higher intensity stuff. Manage your central nervous system, because if that gets fried, you're no good. You don't want to be sore all the time. You don't want to have the delayed onset muscle soreness, the DOMS, day after day, because if you get so sore, then you don't want to train the next day or whatever, your next training session, and you end up not training at all, then you fall off the rails, off the wagon that way. So these off days or non-lifting days, lower intensity days, whatever you want to call them, a lot of times, sure, you can just rest, do nothing, but a lot of times that's not the best thing you can do. I always want you to do some sort of movement. Again, this is not saying go on running 10 miles. I'm not a fan at all of long distance running. I think it's not a good form of exercise, honestly. It's so bad. It beats up your joints. It's long. I think it's boring. Some people, and if you are a runner, that's totally fine. If that's your jam, then do it. But I think there's so many better ways you can get that same type of impact or health benefits with a lot less strenuous, a lot less wear and tear, methods that don't beat you up. So things we can do on these non-lifting days that we are moving. Of course, like I said, you can just rest if you need it. Sometimes you need this mentally, physically. Just get away, take a full day off, and just enjoy yourself and just escape. Play video games, watch a movie, go for a walk, enjoy time with the kids, take them to a water park, whatever it may be. So do those things. That can be your day, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm a person who always likes to be doing something, because I find if you are moving, if you're doing little things, it makes your body feel better. Your joints don't hurt, you don't get stiff, you don't get sore. Whereas if you just lay around all day and you get up and you're like, oh, why is that hurting? Those types of things. So doing something, I think, is always better than nothing. And again, this does not mean going out and running miles and miles and miles or doing something intense. Most of the time for me, a lot of times it's just going for a walk. It's one of the simplest things you can do. You don't have to have any super talented skills to do it or anything like that. You just have to be able to walk. So get out, go for a walk, get multiple walks in a day, try and up your steps, those types of things, and just move, because when you're walking, it's going to help your body recover. It promotes recovery. It helps with muscle building. It's going to help your joints feel better, your body feel better, get rid of that soreness, let the blood flow, get a little bit of movement and activity, and just, especially when you can get outside and get fresh air, get that sunlight. It's such a big thing that you can do, but it's so little, it's so simple that most people just don't do it. We sit around too much these days. We don't do anything. And if you want to be an athlete for life, it's those high intensity days, those where you're doing sprints and jumps and things like that, lifting heavy. But then you take these off days where you are recovering, doing some walking, relaxing, getting your mind off the other stuff and just getting away. And going on walks can help you, because you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to good music, whatever you want. You can just listen to nature. You can bring the family, you can do it with a friend, whatever. It's just an easy way to get some more movement in, but it's not going to be strenuous movement. It's not going to crush your body. It's going to actually help you recover and feel better. So walking is definitely one. So some things for walking, you can go for walking out, do like a 10-minute walk after each meal. You can do longer walks. Do one first thing in the morning, kind of get out, get fresh air, get sunlight. If you're lucky enough to have sunlight when you get up, but it's always good to get outside right away in the morning, get some fresh air to help wake you up. So, and walking is one thing you can do. Even do that on your training days too. You should always be moving. So other things you can do on your off days. Again, you can do more cardio, conditioning, whatever you want to call it. But again, you don't want it to interfere with your training. You don't want to make yourself sore. So you can do lower intensity cardio. Like I said, my favorite's just walking. You can go for, if you're trying to train your aerobic system, help that heart, lower intensity things like cardiac output method, which is, again, keeping your heart rate between, it depends, everyone's different, but somewhere between like 130 to 150 is typically a good range. So this is like, think of this as you're able to talk and not breathe heavy while you're doing it. So like I said, you could do walking that way. You could do sled drags, like you hook a sled up, walk up or forward, and you walk backwards, you walk side to side, just different sled dragging variations. Jump on a bike, an airdyne bike is the best. You can go at a decent pace, monitor your heart rate, get a heart rate monitor, those types of things. You can mix in different variations. You could do some walking lunges for 10 minutes. You could do, then after that, do your bike for 10 minutes and then do sleds for 10 minutes. So think like 20 to 40 minutes of this continuous action. Again, you don't have to do the same thing, because, sitting on a bike for me is so boring if you can, especially because you're sitting again. And the bike seat is not the most comfortable thing in the world. But do this for 20 to 40 minutes. Again, you can change your modalities throughout that time, but constantly keeping that heart rate around that range, that 130 to 150 is good. Again, this is lower intensity, going to help recovery, and it's going to help build your aerobic system, your heart. It's going to help that out. So lower intensity cardio conditioning is great for those off days. Another way to get aerobic conditioning is through movement circuits or mobility circuits, where you're pick a certain amount of mobility. Think maybe like something for your ankles, something for your hip flexor, something for your hips, something for your back, shoulders, whatever. Pick a few different variations, movements, 5 to 10 variations, something like that. Do them in a circuit fashion. So you do one, then the other, then the other, then the other. So maybe we'd start with half kneeling hip flexor stretch. Then we move into 90-90 hip flexor or 90-90 hip switches. Move into cat camel, world's greatest stretch, and hit something for our shoulders, maybe some Blackburns or something like that. Just a few different movements doing them in like a circuit style, and then repeat for 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever you're doing. And just kind of, again, keep that heart rate at a decent range, but not pushing it to where you're strenuous and heavy breathing and things like that. Just, again, these types of mobility circuits help with your heart. They help you feel better because you're moving, and they can help restore good movement patterns if you struggle because you're sitting all day and you get stuck in your forward hunched over posture. You can do stuff like that, upper back stuff to help that out. So make sure mobility movement circuits are another great way to take advantage of these off days to help promote recovery and get back into the swing of things and help so you're going to be ready for your next session. Another thing I like to do is ISO series. So another type of movement, type of circuit type thing, low impact, is just doing ISO holds. So jump into maybe like a split squat ISO hold. So let's see if you can get a good example of this. So something like, so you're just down in that split squat. I can't get a good view in here, not enough room in this room, but a good split squat, hold that 30 seconds to a minute, switch to the other side, 30 seconds to a minute, hold that. Pick a few different movements you could do. I like the split squat. I like the Cossack, or as I call it, the HBK squat. So you're getting the groin area. You could do a push-up hold. You could get the elbows back, up on something, upper back, do an upper back hold. Again, just holding these movements for 30 to 60 seconds. Work on building that. I find these are a great way to ramp up and help get your body ready for the workout, your harder workout the next day. So ISO movements. So again, that's where you go into the lower range of the movement, holding it. Like I said, a split squat. You could do a regular body weight squat or a Spanish squat where you have a bands around the knees and you just sit back. That's a good one. You could do a leg extension ISO hold. Just different ISO holds where you're holding and pausing at the end range of the movement for a certain amount of time, doing those, and again, like a circuit fashion. You can combine that with a movement circuit. Again, you can combine all these things. I have days where I'll do a movement circuit followed by some ISO series, followed by some sled walking. And that's a good day, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, knock it out, quick workout. You're feeling better. The body parts that aren't aching. You're ready to go. You have more energy, and then the workout the next day is better, typically. So those are some things that I like to do. Again, combinations, you can mix and match. Find what works for you and find what you like, what enjoy, and what challenges you. Because if you're not challenging yourself and kind of helps make you better, then you're not really going to get any better, because you can lift, but if what you're doing on your non-lifting days, you break down your muscle when you're lifting, you build it when you're recovering, and a lot of these things are going to help you recover. Again, the best thing for recovery is nutrition and sleep. If you're not doing those things, fix those first before you worry about what you're doing on your off days. Really what you're worrying about on your lifting days, get that stuff dialed in first. But these are just some examples of things you can do on your non-lifting days or your non-hard intensity days, just to promote recovery. But if you're like me, you always like to be doing something. You just can't sit around all day and do absolutely nothing. It does promote movement. It promotes recovery, helps get the blood flow, helps you keep feeling better and moving better, and ultimately being an athlete for life. And that's what we want. So trying to think if there's anything else that I can pop in my mind that you could do, even just do just more movement. You could do, of course, foam rolling. You can do a longer session of foam rolling where you're just hitting all the muscle groups, getting that stuff done. Or if you got a massage gun, again, these aren't huge things that are necessary for recovery. Too many people rely on these things, foam rollers, massage guns, those types of things, when they really need to be focused on sleep and nutrition. But they can benefit. They're like supplements. They supplement and can help the bigger picture once you get everything else dialed in. And of course, I was forgetting yoga. Yoga is great. If it's like the lower intensity, it's not the hot yoga or whatever they call. I've never done that, but I've heard they have that where you like going up and you're just sweating your balls off. And that's not what I'm talking about. That's not like a lower intensity. Just a lower intensity, more relaxing yoga where you're focusing on breathing, focusing on movement. Again, a lot like movement, the mobility movement circuits. Yoga is a great lower intensity thing to do on those off days to help promote, again, good quality movement, get in some different range, restore some movement, help fix some problem areas, and just feel better. And again, challenge yourself, because a lot of, especially guys, think yoga is like a girly thing. I've done yoga for, I don't know, probably the last 10 years or so. I like the DDP yoga, personally, because I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I loved DDP back in the day. And it's good, it's challenging, because you don't always do these types of movements, and yoga can be that. So what did I give? 5-6 different ways, things you can do on your off days to stay moving, stay active, but not negatively impact or negatively affect your harder training days or your lifting days, your sprinting days, those types of things. So that's what you can do there, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And again, subscribe to my page so you're getting the live updates. And if you are liking the videos, make sure you like the videos. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message on YouTube here, or you can email me, trevor@tagpn.com. That's TREVOR @TAGPN.com. And I look forward to speaking with you again next time.